But let's get to this fight. A couple of kind of questions I want to go through here, just to assess the fighters, kind of one thing at a time here. Calix, I'll start with you. Let's just stay specific
Mhm.
with power. What do you rate? We're going to do a 5-star system, and I want the chat. Let us know 1 being not so good, 5 being the best, right? From 1 through 5, put the stars, use the asterisks, okay, in the chat. Let us know. For power, Calix, what do you give Crawford? What do you give Spence? And explain your
Fi-
reasoning.
5 for Crawford, 4 for Spence, because Crawford has carried up his power to welterweight to his third division, and he's got 100% KO percentage. And that's what we talked about earlier, right? Is they made a mistake in trying to age Bud out because Bud is now a full blown welterweight and 100% KO percentage, and he's actually aged better than Errol Spence Jr. due to his lifestyle. So, and I give Errol Spence Jr. a 4. He can stop guys, but I don't think he sets it up as well as Bud. He's a physical guy, more thudding power, but I don't think he sets it up as well as Bud.
All right. James Burrell says same. Same from In the Ring with Christine. 5 for both. Jesus M. MAW says Calix is on point. How much did Calix pay this dude? What's going on? You know what I mean? Chusco, same question to you, brother. Like, for power, what star rating would you give each guy?
I would give Crawford a 5. He has a 100% KO ratio at 147. He's been there for a while, and Calix pretty much said everything I was gonna say. For Errol, I'm gonna actually give Errol a little bit of a higher rating. I'm gonna give him a 4.5.
Okay.
They have different types of power, and I think Errol's power, he breaks you down, he sets you up, and sometimes, like many times when you're in the ring, those are probably like the most like those are the most annoying guys to spar. Are the guys who just methodically break you down, because it just gets a little worse and worse every single round. And Errol's never gonna give you like the fancy, head movement or anything like that. But he's a master of being economic with his work. I know Errol's a big Roman Gonzalez fan too, so I know he kind of has that same thing about him, where he's not gonna waste movement. So I would say 5 for Crawford, 4.5 for Spence.
All right, okay. I actually agree with that. I'm going to say 4 3/4 for Bud, and I'm going to say 4.5 for Spence. I think it's really, really close. Yes, Bud has power, and I'm to this day I'm impressed when he was kind of told, like, I think you're behind against Porter. Then he goes out and just knocks him out. I thought that was a very kind of in the moment, clutch kind of moment that he had against Porter. But I think he's as close as you can get to 5. I mean, you could round it up if you want. But I think Spence is really close as well, personally. So I'm going to agree with you guys on that for sure. Calix lost power, ladies and gentlemen. So it's all good. Let's keep it moving here. So let's go to stamina. Jusco.
I think they're both maxed out. They're both a 5 in stamina.
5 for both? Okay.
Yeah, I would give 5 for both. I think I haven't really seen any reason to not give a 5 for both.
Like, you're right. Like, I never really seen any of them tired.
Like, if there's one thing that I'm not questioning either fighter about, it's the stamina. That's why I think that's probably one of the main reasons why I think this fight has a chance to be one of the best fights of the year.
Okay. All right. I agree with that. I will give both of them a 5. Spence, I never really seen him tired. Neither have I seen Bud tired. Spence, I mean, that's kind of one of his strengths, right? Like to be able to wear guys down. Like he did that to he overwhelmed Cal Brook.
Yep.
He kind of Porter was pressuring him, but he got the big knockdown in the end. He finished strong. And Bud, I mean, he gets a lot of late round stoppages. You don't do that unless you got great stamina. Right.
Yeah, and both guys punch hard for 12 rounds. You're not punching hard, and you're not dangerous for the whole duration of a fight if you're not supremely conditioned. And I would say Crawford and Spence are both supremely conditioned.
100%. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. How many stars you give each guy for stamina? Let's go to Ring IQ. I think this one's a very interesting one. I'm going to give Crawford 4.5, and I'm going to give Spence a 3.5. I know that might be low for some people, but I think Spence, really good fundamentals, really good jab, great high guard, really good body punching, but I think Spence is very straightforward. Like to me, when Spence, he doesn't make adjustments, he turns it up when he has to. That's mostly what I see with Spence. A good fighter though, and the fundamentals are there. There's some ring IQ for sure. I'm not saying 3.5. I consider still pretty high, but I'm going to give Crawford a 4.5. The half is only because I don't think Crawford lives up to his full potential when it comes to ring IQ. I think he tends to be a little. I think he likes to fight too much, and he kind of gets away from.
He's too much of a dog. You think he's too much of a dog?
Like I think the dog in him makes him have a tougher fight than he has to be quite frank. That's what I think. Calix in the building.
He's back.
Yeah, my power went out, and I had to wait for the generator to come on. I don't know why the power went out because
I'm gonna ask you the two in a little bit. Chat, let me know how you guys got it. But True School, Ring IQ, how many stars?
I'm gonna give Crawford a 4.5, and I'm gonna give Spence about a 4.
Okay,
about a 4. I think Spence is a smarter fighter than people give him credit for. I just don't think I don't think he gets the credit because he's not, overly flashy. He's very much like, I don't like the comparison because, when it comes to basketball, Tim Duncan is like one of my favorite basketball players ever. And I view him so highly, like probably most people say I overrate him, but like he calls himself the Tim Duncan of boxing. And I think there's a lot of similarities in that. I saw a video recently where Derek James, it was an old interview from somewhere. I forgot where it was from, but Derek James was breaking down Spence's footwork and how they don't waste movement and how he just steps to his right or his left when he's punching, and he's not really going to do all this and whatnot, but very smart fighter. Probably one of the best in the world at hand positioning, just simply keeping his hands up, making sure his hands don't fall out of place. So he's one of the smart. He didn't get to where he got to on accident. So I think Spence is 4. Okay. 4.5.
Two solids. I see a lot of 4s for Spence in the chat and 5 for Crawford. Some people are saying both. Okay, we're gonna get to that in Susan, but we're getting there, brother. One at a time. Calix, so we got 2 for you here. By the way, it just hit me. So Calix has a pool. He has a generator when the power goes out. What's it? Do you have a helicopter type of house too, or what?
Got a Rolls Royce too?
Not yet.
What's going on right now? The Rena's gonna flash the cash, the money team, the TMT Adams waiting for that. But Calix, so we were at, well, actually, since we're on Ring IQ right now, let's do that one. What do you give each guy? Ring IQ.
I got to be honest. Bud 5 and Spence 4.5. I would agree with everything True School Sports just said about Spence. And the one thing I would say about Bud is I don't think he's given enough credit for it, because I think a lot of the things that he gives up things in the ring. He's like Lomachenko in that. Like Lomachenko will give up certain things, but he doesn't have the safety net that Bud has. Bud has a big safety net because he has a 100% KO percentage. And Lomachenko has a low KO percentage at lightweight. But Bud will give up some of his things to give up his advantages to lure his opponents in. I think he's very slick and clever with that. He did it with Evan Ezen. Just go watch the Evan Ezen fight. He was purposely allowing
I took away half a star because I feel like he doesn't fight to his full. Like I think he gets maybe fights some, but to you that's a strength.
It is because he lures them into. Bud would rather fight, so he's luring them in to make it his type of fight. Bud gets bored with boxing. He wants to fight.
Shout out to El Pachuca.
He does. He's trying to fight.
Canelo, pound for pound, number 1. Anyway, number 2. Oh man, I love Canelo, but he's not even in the top 5 for me at the moment. So it is what it is. He's got some work to do. You know what I mean? To get back up there. He won the fights against Ryder and Triple G, but those were not pound for pound performances. So I mean, it is what it is. It's when you're doing a pound for pound list, I mean, you're nitpicking. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Calix, stamina.
Stamina. Spence has great stamina. If he does have an advantage, this could be it, right? I think he starts faster than Bud, and he keeps that pace up. So I think Spence has top shelf stamina. So that could be a 5 for him. And I think that would be his one advantage. So I would give Spence a 5 and maybe Crawford 4.5. I think he has great stamina too, but I think Spence may be a little better.
Solid. Okay. Now you think that because of the pace, you think like overall he's exerting more energy during the fight. Okay. Let's go with resume, guys. True school resume.
Oh, man, this is where it gets interesting. I don't really think either one has like an overly great. When you say resume, you mean like just welterweight? Because Crawford had the whole run at 35 and 40. So when I say resume, is it just for 47 or can I go?
It could be whatever.
Okay.
However you want to see it. Let's do both. Let's do 147 and we'll go overall.
Okay. Yeah, because at 147, I don't think either one of those resumes all that amazing. Like neither one of them fought Thurman and neither one of them fought Pacquiao. So like I'll say Crawford's resume welterweight is like a 3. And Spence's welterweight resume, just out of respect, is like a 3.5. And this is really the fight I feel is going to define. This is their career-defining fight. So that's where I'm at.
That's sort of the disappointing thing about this fight, right? Is they marinated it, and Buzz got 100% KO percentage at welterweight, but Spence got his first belt 2017 IBF, right? Kell Brook. And it took him 5 years to unify 3 belts, and he had access to every fight on the board. So I look at that and I'm like, man, he should have been. I look at Spence's career. I don't know if you agree with this. He should be trying to do things at middleweight at this point. He's big enough. I think he should have been through welterweight by now. He should have ran through some of these guys. He had access to all the fights. It took way too long. He was inactive at points. So I agree with you. I think it's something like a 3. Now, overall, the thing about Bud's resume is we have to factor in, put in proper perspective that he didn't have access to a lot of these fights. And on top of that, we have to throw in that he has actual accomplishments, undisputed at 140, belts at 135, and now he's in his 3rd weight class. He might get undisputed here. So I actually... people might knock me on this, but I think I like Bud's overall resume better than Errol's. That's just me.
Well, the thing is too, like Errol had the red carpet rolled out for him because he was the Olympian. He got the Mayweather co-sign early in his career. He got that big push in PBC early in his career. As to where with Crawford, I mean, this guy was fighting on the preliminaries, the top ranked shows. Remember when he had the dreads? He fought that one Canadian dude who he knocked. Andres Gorgeous was his name, I think. And he's had to turn, he's had to make a lemonade out of lemons or whatever the saying is. Yeah. And I think he's done a great job. I mean, like all the stuff Spence has done too, if we're talking about overall resume, all the stuff Spence has done or has attempted to do, Crawford already did it years ago. Like Terence beat Kell Brook to win his first world title on the road in 2017. Terence Crawford had already beaten Ricky Burns in Scotland years ago to win his first world title on the road. Errol's trying to become undisputed in 2023. Crawford already did it in, was it 2018 or 2017? So I think Terence, has the better.
So I might have missed it, but what is your guys' star rating for each guy?
I gave Spence for his welterweight resume. I gave him a 3.5, and I gave Crawford a 3.
Man, both got poor guys, huh? Calix, what are your star ratings for welterweight for them?
Welterweight, I would agree with that 3.5 and 3. Overall, though, I would say Spence 3 and Crawford 3.5 to 4.
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
Oh, man, yeah, welterweight. I might sound harsh here, man, but like Crawford 3.
Okay.
Spence. You know what? I actually don't think it's that bad. I'm going to give Spence a 4, a welterweight.
It took him so long to do everything, though.
I know, but
welterweight already.
I mean, I get it took a long time. That's why it's not a 5, right? But the reason I'm saying that is because Yeah, Cal Brook was coming off the beatdown from Triple G. I mean, it is what it is. But, at the time, that was a debated fight. It wasn't like a foregone conclusion.
It was.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good win. I thought the Ugas win was really good. Actually, Ugas was coming off a pretty good win over Pacquiao. And then, of course, the Danny Garcia win, not bad. Coming off the car crash.
Danny Garcia to me was like a glorified tune-up, though. I mean, I know Danny Garcia was a champion, but like I didn't think Danny really had a chance, to be honest. Because Danny, I think at 147, when it comes to the elites, Danny mastered the art of losing and looking good.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna.
That's how I felt.
You're right. 3.5.
Exactly right.
I'm going to lower to 3.5, 3.5 stars because I can't co-sign.
We talked you out of that 4. We talked you out of
that. like it's not just Danny. Then you have Mikey. It's just I don't know about that fight. You know what I mean?
He didn't even have the common decency to knock out Mikey.
It would have been a 4 if he did the Thurman fight at one point. If and PBC could have made that fight happen, they could have. And then the Porter fight. Another reason I'm lowering it because, at least from what I remember, that was a really close fight.
The knockdown was a difference.
I had 6-6 with the knockdown being a difference. And if anybody don't believe me,
Plus, D-Style, I can't give a dude a 4-star rating like that high when I know what they did. I know they aged Bud out. I can't believe, once again, we're waiting 5-6 years for another welterweight showdown. I thought we would have said never again when Floyd and Manny, that whole situation. And here we are again. I'm glad we're having it. I'm glad. I think it's going to be a great fight. Yeah. I still think it's a legacy fight, but come on.
Yeah. And then overall, I'll give Bud 4, maybe. It's just a lot of these wins just aren't aging well. That's the problem with Bud.
Yeah,
they're not aging like fine wine. I'll say that.
Victor Postal, I like the
Victor Postal fight, Postal and Dongo. I was gonna say Ngannou and Dongo, Gamboa. They're just not aging well. Although, in the proper context at the time, Gamboa was good. I mean, it's hard to believe for people now, but he was, But I'll say a 4. I'll just say that. But Spence, he's always been at welterweight, so I'm keeping him the same 3.5 there. So that's that. Let's go to people were asking about earlier, and I want to know again what the chat thinks. Give us a star rating in the chat. Calix, chin.
Ooh,
Bud 5.
Really?
The Ugas, I would have said a 5, but the Ugas, I'd still say, I still think Errol's chin will show up for the most part until it gets cracked. I would say 4. Errol 4. Bud definitely has the better chin. Bud has the better chin.
Bud has a better chin. Chad, do you agree? And what star rating do you give each guy? Let us know. True School.
All right. Well, I'll say I can't give Bud a 5. I don't think Bud has a 5 chin, but I'll give Bud like I'll give him a 4, and I'll give Spence a 4.5. I think Spence is the more durable guy. That's why I think Spence actually has an advantage in this fight is maybe his durability down the stretch.
Durability, stamina.
I don't. The reason I can't put Bud chin up there is because and I hate to sound like casual, but when he fought Gamboa, it's a smaller guy. He got hurt down there. The Kavaluskas fight, and the thing is, he puts himself in danger so much by wanting to be that dog, by wanting to be that. It's a great thing, but because he's always in position to get hit and he's always exchanging. That sometimes I think could take away from his durability.
I think his chin's going to be better on Saturday, though. That's just the feeling I get.
Okay.
I get that feeling. Well, we'll find out.
Are you sticking to the 5?
Yes.
Okay.
I think his chin's going to show up in a big fight.
Here's the problem with Errol. I mean, he's had his teeth replaced. He was in a car crash. His We know there's an issue with the eye. They even pulled him out of the Pacquiao fight because of that. That's always in the back of my mind, right? But he hasn't had to pay the price for all those things. He hasn't fought somebody that's going to make him pay the price. And I think Crawford is probably the biggest puncher he's fought at that weight class
ever.
Like, I don't know who hits harder, like Crawford or Danny Garcia, but I know Crawford is more accurate and he's going to land more, right? I know that.
And it would be busier too.
Yeah, that too. So, and he has more than just a no-look hook. Like, there's more to the arsenal. So I'm going to say Spence 3.5, and then I'm going to give Crawford a 4. I can't do the 5, Calix, because like it's just, I seen him hurt before. Like I just, something just tells me like he can be hurt. Like, especially if he fights somebody like bigger than him, like stronger than him. Like, we'll see. Like, and obviously
the reason I give him a 5 is I don't see anybody in and around his weight class that I envision knocking him out. I just don't see that guy. I don't see it happening.
Well, you guys let us know in the chat, and if you're watching on archive and in the comment section, how you rate that. So to close it out here, give us your keys to victory for this fight. What does each guy have to do to win this fight? Let's start with True School.
For Spence, it's that great volume jab he's got. I think he's got to get that established early. And I also think too, like, if defensively, he has to not allow Crawford to land the big shots. Like, Crawford can land, but Bud's a notorious slow starter. But if he decides to try to be a bit of a faster starter in this fight and establish dominance earlier, he's gonna have to, early not allow Crawford to feel like, he's the stronger man. So I think the fundamentals for Spence. I think also it's cliche, but the body shots. When Crawford does get on the inside, he's got to make him pay. He's got to plant that seed early in Crawford's head that you're going to pay a price when you come on the inside. And then for Terence, it's all about counter punching, sharpshooting. When Errol throws that volume jab, because he's got one of the busiest jabs in boxing, when he falls short, he's going to have to counter over the top. I think maybe I'm not sure if he's going to go be more of the southpaw or the orthodox in this fight, Terence. But if he's a southpaw, I would like to see him, counter over the top with that jab, that right jab, that southpaw jab. So I would say the southpaw jab of Crawford countering over the top to gain that distance on Spence, and then for Spence the volume jab and the body work.
Look, for me, I feel like Spence is going to have to be baptism by fire. Like, he's going to have to walk through the line of fire. He's going to have to take some of Bud's shots and force, and like, don't wait for Bud to decide that, okay, I want to fight now. Like, force him into a fight, right? And force him into an inside fight, work the body. Spence has really good body work. He's really good at switching the angles, going to the body. So is Bud, by the way, but I think that's the type of fight he needs. A physical fight, and to test that stamina of Crawford. Like, I know you're in shape. I know you never look tired. I know you still hit hard at the late in the fight, but can you still do that with my pace? I'm going to force you to fight my pace. And I think he needs to dictate the pace of the fight, pressure him, try to bully him, and work the body constantly, and maybe outwork Crawford. And it's on PBC. If there's any politics involved, it's going to favor Spence, in my opinion. So you want to get it to decision, and if you have high volume, that's going to favor you, right? And plus, if you could wear him down, you could maybe legitimately like really hurt him and really win it, right? So that's what Spence has to do. Crawford, I think what Crawford needs to do is kind of the opposite of that, like slow the fight down. Like slow the fight down, land some counters. I think he's going to have to be the counter puncher in this fight. Stay away from the inside, keep the fight mid-range, and the punch placement has to be on point, which I think it will. And the jab is something, but I also think from the orthodox position, the right hand against the southpaw is going to be very important in this fight.
Southpaw killer.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have to work that for sure. And the thing with Crawford, and I talked about this, how seamless he is when he changes stances. Like when you watch Camboza's and he's just doing a switcheroo, you see him doing it. Like, okay, like you're doing it just to do it. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Maxie Hughes just threw a jab at him and like, okay, you know. While you're switching, I jab you. Like, you know what I mean? But Crawford has a way of like, he switches while working the angles and he switches so seamless. Like it's, you could be, as a viewer, you could be watching him and he's fighting southpaw. And then before you know it, boom, he lands a right hand on his opponent. You're like, when did he switch? Like it's kind of hard to tell. Like it's so seamless. And that's going to be the key for him. Be seamless in your transitions, right? Don't just switch just to switch. If you're beating him a southpaw, stay southpaw, right? But he's going to have the ability to switch if he needs to. But I think those are the keys for Crawford Calix.
So I'll respectfully disagree with you on the Bud thing. But first, Errol, I think he needs to rely on hopefully Bud not having his top game, number one. And how that could happen is if Bud does start slow, because he is a slow starter. Hopefully Bud knows he doesn't have that safety net here, not being the house fighter. And he can't rely on a knockout, even though it's very possible that he gets it. So a scenario that could line up is Bud starts slow, Errol wins maybe the first 3 out of 4 rounds, some sort of scenario there. And then Bud may win the fight 7 rounds on everybody's scorecard, but the other judges may see him winning 4 or 5. That's very much a scenario. But Errol Spence has stamina, as True School Sports broke down. He's got stamina. He's got a chin. He's got that stuff. He's big. That's his pathway to victory. Bud Crawford, I talked about this earlier, D-Style. Gilbert Arenas talking about it, NBA player, a big NBA player. He went on a great 3-year run. And he talked about how he didn't like going up against the smaller defenders. He'd rather go up against the Kobe's, the Kawhi Leonards, guys like that who were his size or bigger, a Klay Thompson that he could get around. He did not like dealing with the smaller, shorter, more physical, quick guys. They have low center of victory. They get underneath you. He did not like it. And I think it's the same with Bud, much like with Inoue Fulton, is I think there's sort of a lazy narratives coming in, fallacies that Fulton can grab and hold Inoue and chop up the fight and push him back, right, and keep Inoue on his heels. And the same here with Spence. People just assume Spence is the bigger guy. He's going to push Bud back. Bud's going to have a problem standing his ground. I think it's the opposite. I think Bud's going to get underneath him. I think Bud can push Spence back in this fight. And I think that's Bud's pathway, the easier pathway, much like we would have never thought Tyson Fury, although he said he was going to do it, fight the type of style of fight that he did in the second and third Wilder fight. We thought he was going to use lateral movement, fight on his heels. He's the one who stood his ground. And I think although Bud is the naturally smaller guy, I know this dude is strong. He is a strong fighter, a strong, smaller dude, low center of gravity. And I think he's going to be the one pushing Spence back in this fight and eventually keeping Spence on his heels and eventually getting the stoppage late in this fight against Spence.
Yeah. To that point too, it's like, we know Earl was an Olympian, but Earl's never really had to show much of a back foot game in the professionals. He's always been the guy that comes forward and mows you down. Well, the fact that he allowed Crawford to fill out all these years, he's going to be a lot bigger and stronger now. So we might have to see Errol Spence on the back foot and do something maybe he has had to do in this fight to get the victory.
I just don't know if we could back up Spence. Not early, I think he has to wear him down, in my opinion.
I think he can.
Like, you think he's going to back him up early?
I think he's going to be underneath him. I don't think Bud is going to allow Spence to back him up. I don't. I think he's going to stand his ground, and it's going to be that type of fight. I think it's the easier pathway. I do. Okay.
Do you agree with that, True School? Do you think that's his pathway to put pressure on Spence early and force him on the back foot?
Yeah. Yeah, he to plant those seeds in his head that he can't box off the back foot because he's so used to being the bigger guy and beating these dudes down. And the thing is too, like, because Crawford. I mean, I don't know. Is Crawford shorter than Spence too? Right, a little shorter.
Yeah.
So maybe that plays a factor too. The fact that Terence Crawford can, kind of change levels and maybe come underneath and hit him with the hook or something like that.
I'm telling you, D-Style, like those short, strong dudes, they're a pain in the ass to deal with. He is strong as hell. I'm telling you. I've seen this dude in the weight room on Instagram. That is a strong ass dude, and he is not gonna allow Spence to back him up. And those short, strong dudes.
It's not just his strength I'm worried about. It's Spence has really good body shots on the inside. Like does Crawford want to deal with that early in a fight? You know what I mean?
Terence is so stubborn. I think he'll actually try it. He'll see it. It may not work out for him, but I think he's crazy enough to try it.
I think so too.
Shout out to Christine. She says, "You're reading my mind today, Calix. We agree today. Buck and a dog every round and bully the bully. Back the bully up." How much you pick Christine? Now she's agreeing with you.
I think that's a strategy.
I'm trying to think you are paying these people off because you have a generator in your house. You have a pool. Okay, you had I don't know what's going on right now, but
I'm paying people to give me good comments.
That's right.
Payola.
Yeah, Nes Mendoza's like, look, Calix is spot on. Like, I don't know. Look, I'm not. I just think. I think he has to do it eventually. Look, I think he has to back him up eventually. I just don't think he's going to do it right out of the gate. That's the only thing I disagree with. Like, he's going to have to wear him down, I think. Now he might feel it out or see where he's at, but I don't know.
But it's not even a pressure thing. It's just him standing his ground and saying, "Nope, I'm not going back. I'm not going backwards." And I think he's going to effectively do that.
By the way, if that happens, that's going to be a hell of a fight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I think. Do you guys think this might be a fight of your candidate?
Could be.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.